There are valuable ways to communicate with leaders, and especially as we take into account the different personality types, and we're able to adjust our communication style in accordance with their MBTI personality preferences. When we look at these thinking and judging leaders, we want to see that their primary motivation is that they really want to be competent and effective. And so when you can see a problem and you want to help them and to influence them in one way, first you want to notice and identify the problem, and then point out any negative impact that it may have in order to achieve the goals and the organizational mission statement. Then afterwards, you want to be able to look at possible solutions and be sure that you also very calmly and logically point out the consequences of each solution. You may even want to include a pro and con list. Then lastly, be sure that you ask for what you need with a logical explanation for how you want to get it and how it's going to make you as an employee more effective. When we're working with thinking and perceiving leaders, remember that their primary motivation is that they want to be competent. They want to be independent. They want to foster behavior in their followers. So when you see something, you should make sure that you're always direct and clear and concise in all of your communication. And if it's really important, make sure that you state the problem and ask for their help in identifying any solutions. If it's not very important, then make sure that you take action and tell them what you've done. Lastly, ask for what you need. It's important that you always ask for what you need because sometimes they don't always notice. And you need to be aware that their direction is always going to be focused more on those end results. So be sure that you point out how the end results are related to what you're asking for. Our feeling and judging leaders are wanting to include everyone in achieving their group or their organizational goals. And so you want to build a relationship of mutual trust with that. Remember, that's really part of that feeling piece of them, is that they like to communicate freely and they really want to be able to frequently talk to people and to be included in things. They really are going to have a great foundation of harmony and trust when it comes to their relationships. Be sure that you explain the problem from a personal perspective. Make sure that you always identify effects that has on you, on the team, on the group, and even on the organization as a whole. And then lastly, be sure that you ask for what you need and explain how it's going to help you personally. Our last type are the feeling and perceiving leaders, and their greatest motivation is that they want to encourage people to come together to find solutions. They want people to work together, and they want to know what is best not just for a group or the organization, but for everyone. They want a win-win situation in all situations. So first, we want to identify what the problem is going to be. Make sure that you always use the values and the mission of the group and ask them for what their instincts are. What are your instincts on this? What are your insights for this problem? What kind of prior experiences have you had? Make sure that you give them a lot of different kinds of information, especially including how people will react. So they're going to want that personal side of it, but they also need the data. And then lastly, make sure that you ask for what they need and explain to them how this solution or how the possible solutions are really going to contribute to the well-being of everybody and how it's going to accomplish the goals that have already been identified.